There are three significant Hutts in contemporary life. The first is the Holy Ghost to Father McDonald's and son Kentucky Fried Chicken in the celestial trinity of franchise fast food, a place of checkered tablecloths and all-you-can-eat plastic pizza. The second is that gargantuan slug from the fertile mind of George Lucas, realised by a three-man puppetry team in the 1980s and through increasingly evolving CGI effects in the maestro's overly maligned latter-day digital revisions. Louise Hutt, however, could not be further removed aesthetically from her Uncle Jabba, even if she has her fingers in as many pies. Combining a pixie-like cuteness with some literary skills and an artist's eye for the snapshot, Louise has a sentimental attachment to the internet, which leads her to confuse it with reality. Entrepreneur, Nexus deputy editor, cover model, and winner of Auto House's second ever Pick the Connection Between the DVDs competition, Louise Hutt.
I thought I'd left the Jabba the Hutt jokes at high school, but it's okay, you made my mum laugh, so that's good. Cool. If I had $1 for every time I heard someone say, "You spend too much time on the internet," well, maybe I wouldn't be asking for a student discount every time I go out. People think of media, whether it is television, the internet, or video games, as some great life-sucking force, turning our youth into zombies who only care about the latest memes and cat videos. As a true child of the 21st century, YouTube taught me how to crochet. I can tell you that that's not the case. I'd like to tell you a story of media, mental illness, and my blog. I'm first and foremost a photographer, and I got into photography when I was about 12. This was my first real experience of how media could change your life. I didn't have an easy childhood, and it was a lot easier for me to look at the world around me through a viewfinder, the distance helping me to accept and understand it. As I got older, I of course found the wonder that is the internet, and it only increased my love of photography. Able to find other young people who are also interested in the same things I was inspired me and increased my ambition. I was no longer restricted to old copies of National Geographic for my inspiration. My search for more and more inspiration eventually led me to the blogging site Tumblr. Something which has affected me my entire life is anxiety. Anxiety is not just being stressed or worried, but an inability to rationally evaluate a situation. The situation might be a last-minute assignment or something as vague as the future. It usually manifests itself as a combination of nausea and fear, known as a panic attack. The best way of describing it is like having a little voice in the back of your head which says, "Don't go to Pecha Kucha, you'll mess it up and it'll be all anyone ever remembers you for. Stay at home and watch reruns of Friends. You can't mess that up." Then I begin to panic, thinking the voice is right, but knowing I've got to confront the situation anyway. My anxiety can cause severe bouts of depression, as being unable to function due to this fear and panic can make you feel pretty hopeless. Things which set off my anxiety are feeling tired, hungry, angry, or stressed, and as a student, I am all of those things all the time. One of my jobs at Nexus magazine is a street fashion column, which involves talking to strangers, something anxiety does not make easier in any way. Some weeks I get 100 photographs and I'm my normal extroverted self. Other times I get 10 and I come home just like so upset, wishing I'd paid attention to the voice in my head that said, don't do it, stay at home, stay at home. Growing up, I had no idea what mental illness was, nor that panic attacks are a textbook example of anxiety. I genuinely thought I was crazy and treated it like some terrible, dark secret. It wasn't until I was 15 and that I realised other people had them too. My best friend wasn't having a good time and described something exactly like the panic attacks I'd been having since I was a kid. This was the first time I realised I wasn't alone, and it was like this massive weight had been lifted off me. I started a blog when I was 16, and its original purpose was to create a space for images that inspired me, as well as my own creative endeavours. Tumblr is a crazy site. People blog about everything from Star Trek to their favourite breed of cat. However, what always astounded me was the great wealth of honesty, blatantly defying the strangers on the internet just want to steal your money and touch you in bad places stereotype. People were blogging about their mental illnesses, abuse they'd suffered as a child, as an adult, how they dealt with racism, sexism, homophobia. Tumblr taught me things I wish I had known when I was younger. Did you know that anxiety is the most common mental illness, affecting 19 million Americans and 1 in 5 New Zealanders? I learned coping mechanisms and ways to calm myself down, eventually realising I'd use my photography as one without even knowing it. I started to write about my own experiences, adding to the wealth of knowledge building on the site about mental illness and how to deal with it. I've since made friends with several bloggers who suffer from similar issues, and it's grown my support network of people who understand about mental illness. Able to talk to people who say, "You're not alone, I've been there, you'll get through it because I did," takes away a lot of the stress and the stigma. While this might sound like a great story of success and triumph, there were still times where I was told to just get over it and that I should be doing important things like maths and science instead of photography. Mental illness is something you can simply choose to stop having as much as cancer is, and I credit my survival to the people that I met and the resources I found through the media that I interacted with. However, not everyone is as fortunate as I am. Last year, my older brother Gregory took his own life. Talking to people through personas and profiles had given me the courage to talk about how I was feeling and what I experienced, but talking about things out loud is still something which I struggle with. As you can see, I'm a bit shaky. Gregory suffered from depression and bipolar disorder, something that I had never known about him. This was a wake-up call for me. While younger generations might be brave enough to embrace these new avenues for communication and use them to their full potential, many others are still stuck in the dark ages, confined by social structures and stigma, unable to get the help that they need. In New Zealand, 2,717 people have taken their own lives in the past 5 years, and I know exactly how close I have been to adding to that number. Sitting in front of my laptop every day is not sucking the life force from me, but enabling me to better deal with the world that I live in. A world sometimes filled with anxiety, fear, and sadness, but sometimes also a lot of happiness. Sometimes I wonder if my blog will stop potential clients or employers from hiring me, but I remind myself that along with every post asking for help is a new photograph, proving that anxiety and depression do not define me and I can overcome them. Media like the internet is allowing us to communicate things which otherwise are kept locked away by stigma or fear. While I use blogging and photography as a way of coping, some people use video games or writing fan fiction. We need to be less critical of media because of how it looks on the outside, as you may never know what it's giving back to people on the inside. I can't go back and tell my brother that he's not alone, but maybe we can create a society where people with mental illness don't feel like it's a terrible dark secret. But the first step is talking about it. Thank you.